The morning sun rose slowly over Miller Ranch, spreading golden light across the wide, dusty fields. Samuel Miller, known as Grandpa Sam to everyone in town, sat on the old wooden porch, sipping his strong black coffee. The smell of fresh hay mixed with the earthy scent of the fields. He loved this quiet life, far away from the noise of the town. His ranch was his world, and he had spent decades building it with care and hard work. Luke, his 16-year-old grandson, was already out in the barn, helping with the morning chores. He moved hay bales with careful precision, his small hands steady from years of practice. He looked up when he heard a strange rumble in the distance. "Grandpa, look," Luke said, pointing toward the road. A shiny black truck was coming down the dirt path that led to the ranch. Its tires crunched the gravel loudly, a sound that did not belong on their peaceful land. Grandpa Sam squinted against the sunlight. "Well, that looks like Officer Daniels from the HOA," he muttered. His voice was calm, but his eyes narrowed. "Boy, that man has no idea what he's walking into." Luke frowned. "Grandpa, should we?" "I don't know, call someone." Sam shook his head. "No one's going to help. Not today. But we can handle this ourselves. We've done it before, haven't we?" His smile was faint but confident, a mixture of pride and determination. The truck rolled slowly across the property, stopping near the barn where Sam kept his tractor. It blocked the driveway completely, and from the way Daniels leaned against the truck, clipboard in hand, it was clear he had no intention of leaving anytime soon. "Morning, Mr. Miller," Daniels called, his voice too cheerful for Sam's taste. "I just need to inspect the property. It's all according to HOA rules." Sam set his coffee down and stood, resting his hands on the porch railing. "This is private land. Your HOA rules don't belong here. You can write all the notes you want, but you aren't allowed to park on my property." Daniels chuckled softly, shaking his head. "We just want to make sure everything is in order. It won't take long." But Sam could see the smirk on his face. It was the kind of smirk that said he didn't care about the rules at all. He thought he could do whatever he wanted. Luke stepped closer to his grandfather. "Grandpa, what if he refuses to move?" Sam looked at his grandson, seeing both worry and trust in Luke's eyes. "Then we'll make sure he remembers why this ranch has been in our family for generations." His voice was calm, but there was a sharp edge to it. "We won't let anyone disrespect it. Not today, not ever." Daniels and his friends wandered around the ranch, laughing and taking notes, as if the land belonged to them. They ignored the signs Grandpa Sam had posted clearly: "Private property, no trespassing." They didn't listen when Sam had called before, warning them that parking on the ranch was not allowed. By mid-afternoon, Sam's patience was gone. He had watched Daniel's truck sit there, blocking the barn, and he could feel his blood pressure rising. He turned to Luke. "Boy, sometimes words aren't enough. Some people only understand actions. It's time to remind them." Luke's eyes widened. "Grandpa, what do you mean?" Sam smiled faintly. "I mean, it's time we teach them a lesson. They need to understand respect. And respect on this ranch is earned, not taken." The old man went into the barn and brought out a thick chain. He inspected it carefully, making sure it was strong enough for what he planned. Luke followed quietly, nervous but trusting his grandfather completely. They fastened the chain to the black truck's bumper. Daniels was still laughing across the field, unaware of what was about to happen. "Grandpa, are you really going to Luke started, but Sam cut him off. "Shh, just watch, boy. Sometimes you have to show people the consequences of their actions. And this lesson, they won't forget." With steady hands, Sam hooked the other end of the chain to his old pickup truck. It had been in the family for years, a reliable machine that never failed. Sam climbed in, started the engine, and slowly began to pull. The black truck rattled and jerked, and Luke's eyes widened as it started moving down the dirt path. Daniels ran toward it, shouting, "Hey! Stop! You can't do that." But his voice was too late. Sam's pickup dragged the truck carefully but firmly toward the creek at the edge of the property. Water shimmered in the sunlight, and Luke held his breath as the truck tipped slightly into the shallow water. Grandpa Sam stopped, making sure the truck was secure and that no one was hurt. Daniels was spluttering, his friends shouting in disbelief, but the lesson was clear: the ranch belonged to Sam, and no one would disrespect it without consequence. Luke ran to his grandfather, eyes wide. "Grandpa, that was incredible. Did we really just do that?" Sam chuckled, wiping sweat from his brow. "Sometimes, Luke, you have to stand up for what's yours. People respect strength and honesty. And they remember who owns the land." As the sun dipped behind the hills, casting golden light across Miller Ranch, the old man and his grandson stood together. The black truck sat half submerged in the creek, a reminder to anyone who might think they could take the ranch for granted. Luke looked at the fields, feeling proud and a little amazed. "Grandpa, I hope we never have to do that again." Sam smiled softly. "Hopefully, boy. But if we do, we'll be ready." And with that, the ranch returned to its quiet rhythm. The cows grazed, the wind whispered through the trees, and Luke realized that this day, this lesson, was one he would never forget. The next morning, Miller Ranch was quiet again, with only the lowing of cows and the chirping of birds filling the air. Grandpa Sam and Luke were busy repairing fences and checking the water troughs, trying to act like yesterday's chaos had never happened. But in the back of their minds, they both knew that the black truck in the creek was not the end of the problem. "Grandpa," Luke said nervously as he leaned on the fence post, "do you think they'll come back?" Sam wiped sweat from his forehead and looked at the distant road. "Oh, they'll come back, boy. And they'll be mad. But that doesn't scare me. They need to learn respect." The sound of an engine broke their conversation. Luke's heart sank. Up the dirt road rumbled not one, but 3 vehicles, all black, all bearing the same HOA markings. The trucks stopped near the ranch entrance. From their windows, Sam could see a group of men stepping out, led by none other than Officer Daniels. His smirk had been replaced with a hard, serious expression. "You done with your little stunt, Sam?" Daniels called out. "You think dragging my truck into a creek fixes anything?" Sam leaned on his fence, calm and steady. "It fixes a lot. It reminds people where the line is. Your truck was on private land. That line is clear. Maybe now you understand." Daniels shook his head and stepped forward. "You don't get it? HOA rules are the law for this area. You can't just take matters into your own hands." Luke felt his chest tighten. The men were tall, their faces set in determination. He glanced at his grandfather, expecting worry, but all he saw was quiet confidence. Sam had been through worse in his life, and Luke realized that day that his grandfather was a man who would defend what he loved, no matter what. "Boys," Sam said quietly to Luke, "watch and learn. Sometimes you have to be clever, not just strong. He led Luke to the barn and fetched some old ropes and planks. While the Hoa men argued among themselves near the trucks, Sam and Luke quietly reinforced the ground near the creek. They made a path that would make dragging any vehicle difficult. Sam wasn't planning another attack today, but he wanted to be ready if things got worse. Daniels approached the barn, his voice low but threatening. "Sam, you can't keep doing this. You're going to get in real trouble. We could call the police." Sam laughed softly, shaking his head. "Call them. I'm ready. This ranch has been in my family for generations. My word and my land come first. You don't scare me with threats." Luke watched the exchange, amazed at his grandfather's courage. "Grandpa, aren't you afraid?" he whispered. Sam smiled faintly. "Afraid? Maybe a little, but courage isn't about not being scared. It's about doing what's right even when you are." The Hoa men grumbled, clearly frustrated. They didn't expect resistance like this from a simple rancher. Most of them were used to people backing down when they showed authority. But Sam Miller was different. He was patient, smart, and tough. After a long moment, Daniels called out, "Fine. We'll leave for now. But don't think this is over, Sam. Hoa rules apply, whether you like them or not." As the trucks drove away, Sam turned to Luke. "See, boy. Sometimes you win by standing your ground, sometimes by being clever. Today we did both. But don't forget, tomorrow might be different." Luke nodded, still trying to process everything. "I can't believe how calm you were, Grandpa. I would have panicked." Sam chuckled, putting a hand on his grandson's shoulder. "Experience, Luke. And a lot of love for this land. You learn early that what you care about is worth fighting for." That evening, they sat on the porch, watching the sun set behind the hills. The creek sparkled where the black truck sat half submerged, a constant reminder of yesterday's lesson. Sam took a deep breath and looked at Luke. "Boy, running a ranch isn't just about feeding cows and fixing fences. It's about protecting it. Protecting it from people who think rules don't matter. You're learning that today, even if you don't realize it yet." Luke nodded slowly, feeling a mix of pride and determination. "I want to be like you, Grandpa. Strong and smart." Sam smiled. "You will be, Luke. Just remember, strength without patience is dangerous. And patience without action is useless. Balance is everything." Later that night, as Luke lay in his bed in the little cabin near the barn, he couldn't stop thinking about the black trucks and the men who had come back. He knew they weren't finished. But he also knew something else: as long as Grandpa Sam was there, nothing could take the ranch from them. Somewhere deep down, Luke felt a new kind of courage growing. It was not just about protecting property, it was about standing up for what was right, no matter who tried to push you down. And tomorrow would be another chance to prove it. Meanwhile, in town, Officer Daniels and his crew were fuming. They didn't expect to be humiliated by an old rancher. Their pride hurt more than anything, and they were already planning their next move. They didn't know it yet, but the Miller Ranch wasn't just land. It was a legacy. And legacies, once threatened, fight back in ways people never expect. As the stars appeared over the quiet ranch, Luke drifted to sleep, feeling both nervous and excited. He was part of something bigger now. Something worth defending. And he knew that no matter what happened next, Grandpa Sam would lead the way. The morning sun spread soft light across Miller Ranch, and the air smelled of fresh earth and hay. Grandpa Sam and Luke were already up, working together to fix a fence near the creek where the black truck remained half submerged. The old vehicle had become a silent warning, and Sam made sure it wouldn't float away in case of rain. Luke carried planks while Sam tightened ropes and chains. "Grandpa," Luke asked nervously, "do you think they'll really come back?" Sam paused, looking out over the fields, his eyes calm but sharp. "Oh, they'll come, Luke. People like Daniels don't accept being shown they're wrong. But we'll be ready. Always ready." The hours passed slowly, the sun climbing higher. Birds flew overhead, and the cattle grazed lazily, completely unaware of the tension building around the ranch. Then, a loud honk pierced the quiet. Both Sam and Luke froze. Up the dirt road rumbled not one, not two, but 5 black trucks. They stopped at the ranch entrance. Daniels was at the front, his face red with anger. This time, he wasn't smiling. His friends carried tools and cameras, ready to document the land for their HOA complaints. "You've gone too far, Sam," Daniels shouted, his voice echoing across the field. "This is harassment. You can't just destroy property and expect no consequences." Sam leaned against the fence, calm and steady. "It's not destroyed. It's sitting in the creek as a reminder. You shouldn't have parked on my land. That's all you need to know." Luke felt his stomach tighten. The men were bigger and more numerous than yesterday. He glanced at his grandfather for reassurance. Sam's eyes met his, calm as ever, and Luke felt his fear lessen. Grandpa Sam had a way of making fear feel small. Daniels took a step forward, gesturing for his men to follow. "We're calling this in. You're going to regret this, Sam. The HOA has lawyers. You'll pay for what you did." Sam shook his head slowly. "Go ahead. Call all the lawyers you want. This land, this ranch, is mine. You don't frighten me with paperwork or threats." While Daniels argued, Sam and Luke quietly worked behind the barn. Sam had a plan. He gathered some barrels, rope, and wooden planks, setting up simple but clever obstacles near the creek. The idea was not to harm anyone but to make sure Daniels' trucks could not easily drive through the property again. Luke watched carefully. "Grandpa, what are you doing?" Sam smiled faintly. "We're preparing. If they think they can bully us, they'll learn that clever thinking matters as much as strength." By noon, the HOA men grew impatient. They tried to move the black truck out of the creek, but the soft mud and Sam's clever placement of logs made it almost impossible. Daniel's frustration grew, and his shouts became louder. "You think this is funny? You've gone too far this time," Daniels yelled. Sam stepped closer to the fence, calm but firm. "I think you forgot something. This ranch is my family's life. My property. My rules. You wanted to test me, but now you see the truth. Respect comes with understanding, not threats." Luke felt a surge of pride. His grandfather wasn't just standing his ground, he was teaching a lesson in courage, patience, and intelligence. "Grandpa, you make it look so easy," he whispered. Sam chuckled softly. "It's not easy, boy. But it's necessary. And you'll learn one day that defending what you love takes more than anger. It takes thought." By late afternoon, the HOA men had no choice but to retreat temporarily. Daniel's pride was hurt, and he knew they would need a new strategy to come back. He left, muttering about rules, lawyers, and how Sam would regret this. But as their trucks disappeared down the dirt road, Sam and Luke felt a quiet victory. They went back to work, repairing fences and checking the creek. The black truck still sat where it had landed, and the obstacles Sam had set ensured it wouldn't move until professional help arrived, if it ever did. "Grandpa," Luke said, pausing to rest against the fence, "do you think they'll ever leave us alone?" Sam looked at the wide fields, golden in the setting sun. Maybe someday. But people like that don't stop easily. That's why you have to be ready. And that's why you have to be smart. The ranch, Luke, is more than land. It's respect, family, and hard work. And it's worth protecting. Luke nodded, taking in every word. He felt a new kind of confidence growing in him, the kind that only comes when you see courage in action. He realized that life on the ranch wasn't just about chores or cattle. It was about standing firm when challenged, about protecting what mattered most. As the sun dipped behind the hills, Sam and Luke sat on the porch, tired but proud. The black trucks had retreated for now, but they both knew this was not the end. Daniels and his crew would return, with new plans, new threats. But they had learned something important: Miller Ranch was not a place to push around, and Grandpa Sam and Luke were not people to be underestimated. That night, Luke went to bed thinking of the day's events. He knew tomorrow could bring more challenges, more tests of courage. But he also knew that with Grandpa Sam by his side, he could face anything. Together, they were more than a grandfather and grandson. They were a team, a family defending a legacy. Outside, the stars shone over the quiet ranch. The creek reflected the moonlight, the black truck a silent reminder that respect, courage, and intelligence always have power. And somewhere in the distance, Daniels and his crew plodded, unaware that the Millers were ready for whatever came next. Luke closed his eyes, a small smile on his face. Tomorrow would bring more trouble, yes, but he was no longer afraid. He was part of something bigger, something worth defending, and he knew he would stand tall alongside Grandpa Sam, no matter what. The morning air was crisp at Miller Ranch. Luke helped Grandpa Sam feed the cattle, but neither of them could stop thinking about what might come next. The black truck in the creek had been a warning, but Sam knew Officer Daniels was not the kind of man to forget humiliation easily. "Grandpa," Luke said quietly, handing a bucket of feed to one of the cows, "do you think they'll bring more trucks?" Sam wiped sweat from his brow and looked toward the road. "They might, boy. People who can't admit they're wrong always come back. But that doesn't mean we're unprepared. We've handled worse." The quiet of the morning was broken by the distant sound of engines. This time, it wasn't one truck or 5, it was 7, and they moved in a line, slow and deliberate, each black vehicle heavy with men and tools. Daniels was at the front, his face red with anger and determination. He had clearly planned this carefully. Luke's stomach tightened. 7 trucks. "Grandpa, what do we do?" Sam crouched, examining the ground near the barn and the creek. He had been preparing all morning. "We meet them with brains, not anger. Watch and learn, Luke. This is about thinking ahead, not just reacting." As the truck stopped near the entrance, Daniel stepped out, holding a stack of papers. "Sam. This is your last warning. The HOA has filed complaints. Legal notices. If you don't move that truck and stop blocking our access, you'll face serious consequences." Sam leaned on the fence, calm and steady. "Consequences? The only consequence you're learning today is that this ranch isn't for trespassers. You want respect? Earn it. You want to bully? You'll find it doesn't work here. Daniels gritted his teeth and motioned for his men to get out. They began moving toward the creek, talking in low voices, clearly planning to drag the truck out themselves. But Sam had already set up simple but clever obstacles. Barrels, planks, and ropes created a maze near the creek, making it difficult for the trucks to move freely. Luke watched in awe. "Grandpa, you made this, like a trap." Sam nodded. "Not a trap, boy. A lesson. They'll learn that force isn't everything. Smarts matter too. And if they're not careful, their own arrogance will work against them." Daniel's men tried to drive a truck toward the creek, but it got stuck in the mud. Planks shifted, barrels rolled, and ropes tangled around tires. Shouts of frustration echoed across the ranch as the men struggled to regain control. Daniel's face turned redder by the second. "You think this is funny?" he shouted. "This is harassment. You'll pay for this, Sam." Sam calmly walked toward the edge of the creek, inspecting the trucks without fear. "No, Daniels. You're paying for forgetting respect. You thought this land was yours to command. It isn't. And you won't forget it today." Luke's hands were sweaty, but he stayed close to his grandfather, learning patience and courage with every tense moment. "Grandpa, what if they get angry and try something worse?" Sam smiled faintly. "Then we'll be ready. That's what being responsible for something you love means. You defend it with everything you have, but you think first. Thinking always wins when the other side acts without it." The Hoa men struggled for hours. Daniel's pride hurt worse than anything. He had never been challenged like this, especially not by a rancher and his grandson. By late afternoon, they were exhausted, their trucks tangled in mud and ropes. Daniels finally waved his hands in frustration. "Fine," he shouted. "We're leaving. But this isn't over, Sam. You haven't seen the last of us." Sam nodded calmly. "That's fine. We'll be here. Always ready." As the black trucks disappeared down the road, Sam turned to Luke. "See, boy. Sometimes strength matters, but thinking matters even more. Today we didn't just stand our ground, we outsmarted them." Luke's eyes were wide with admiration. "Grandpa, I want to be like you. Brave, and smart." Sam smiled, patting his grandson on the shoulder. "You will, Luke. Just remember, courage without thought can get you hurt, and thought without courage gets you nowhere. Balance is the key." That evening, they repaired the fences and checked the creek. Sam made sure the truck wouldn't move until the men returned with real help. Luke noticed how carefully his grandfather worked, never losing patience, even when the situation was tense. "Grandpa," Luke asked quietly as they sat on the porch, "do you think they'll try to trick us next?" Sam chuckled softly. "They might, boy. People like Daniels always think they can find a way around lessons. But they don't know the Miller Ranch. And they don't know me." The ranch returned to its quiet rhythm as the sun set, the creek reflecting orange and gold light. Luke realized that the land wasn't just about cattle or crops, it was about respect, wisdom, and the courage to defend what mattered. That night, as Luke lay in bed, he thought about the day. He knew the Hoa men would be back, and that the challenge wasn't over. But he also knew that with Grandpa Sam's guidance, they could face anything. Courage, patience, and intelligence were now part of him, just like they were part of the ranch. Outside, the stars shone over the quiet land. The creek rippled gently, the black truck sitting half submerged, a reminder of yesterday's lesson and today's clever defense. And somewhere in the distance, Daniels and his men were plotting, unaware that the Millers were not only prepared, they were unstoppable together. Luke closed his eyes, a quiet smile on his face. He felt ready for whatever came next. He was part of the ranch, part of a family legacy, and part of a story where courage and cleverness always had the final word. The next morning, Miller Ranch felt unusually quiet. The birds sang, the cattle grazed, and the wind rustled through the trees. But Grandpa Sam and Luke knew better than to trust silence. Trouble, in the form of Officer Daniels and his crew, would return. It was only a matter of time. Sam and Luke were up before sunrise, checking the fences and reinforcing the obstacles near the creek. The black truck still sat half submerged, a silent warning to anyone who thought they could disrespect the land. "Grandpa," Luke asked, carrying a heavy plank, "what if they come with more trucks? More men?" Sam smiled faintly. "Then we'll meet them with preparation, not fear. Remember, boy, the fight isn't just about strength. It's about brains, patience, and heart. And we have all three." By mid-morning, the sound of engines filled the air. 7 black trucks appeared again, moving slowly down the dirt road. This time, it was clear that Daniels had returned with a plan. He wasn't shouting or waving. His face was tight with anger and determination. Sam leaned against the fence, calm and steady. "Here we go, Luke. This is the real test. Watch closely. Sometimes you don't just defend, you outsmart." Daniels stopped the trucks at the ranch entrance. He stepped out, holding a large blueprint. "Sam, we've come prepared this time. Lawyers, permits, and plans. This land may be yours, but you can't keep blocking access. Today, we fix this." Sam nodded slowly. "You keep trying, Daniels. But the land doesn't belong to papers and threats. It belongs to people who care for it, who protect it. You'll see that today." The men began moving toward the creek, confident they could drag the black truck out. But Sam had planned for this. He had spent hours reinforcing the mud near the creek, placing logs and ropes in ways that made movement difficult. Any attempt to pull the truck would require teamwork, careful thinking, and patience, qualities Daniels' men clearly lacked. Luke watched, holding his breath, as the first truck tried to drive near the creek. It got stuck immediately. The mud held it tightly, and the clever placement of ropes made it almost impossible to free. Frustration rippled through the men. "Pull it harder!" Daniels shouted. "You're not listening to me." Sam shook his head. "No, Daniels. You're not listening to the land. The land speaks if you know how to hear it. You didn't listen yesterday. You didn't listen today. And now you're learning." Luke felt a surge of pride. His grandfather wasn't just standing his ground, he was teaching a lesson in cleverness, patience, and respect. "Grandpa, it's amazing," he whispered. Sam smiled faintly. "Cleverness and courage always beat arrogance, boy. Never forget that." Hours passed. The men tried everything, pulling, pushing, even lifting. But the creek and the obstacles Sam had built held strong. Sweat dripped down their faces, and their frustration turned into desperation. Daniel's face grew redder with every failed attempt. Finally, Daniels threw up his hands. "This is impossible. We can't do it." Sam stepped closer, calm as ever. "It's not impossible. It's just that you're not thinking. You're trying to force what can't be forced. Respect the land, Daniels. Understand it? Maybe then you'll succeed. Daniels glared but said nothing. Slowly, one by one, the trucks backed away, leaving the creek and the black truck exactly as they had found it. The lesson was clear: the ranch, Grandpa Sam and Luke were not to be pushed around. Luke ran to his grandfather, eyes wide with admiration. "Grandpa, we did it. We really did it." Sam patted his shoulder, smiling. "Yes, boy. But remember, victory isn't just winning against others. It's knowing you did what's right, staying patient, and keeping your head when others lose theirs. That's what today taught us." The rest of the afternoon passed in quiet work. Sam and Luke repaired fences, checked the creek, and made sure the black truck couldn't float or slide. The ranch was peaceful again, and for the first time in days, Luke felt a sense of calm. "Grandpa," Luke said, sitting on the porch and looking over the fields, "do you think they'll try again?" Sam shook his head slowly. "Maybe someday. People like Daniels don't give up easily. But they'll think twice now. They know that the Millers don't back down, and this ranch isn't a place to test them." Luke smiled, feeling a sense of pride and confidence. He realized that protecting the ranch wasn't just about defending property, it was about standing for respect, family, and everything that mattered to them. As the sun set behind the hills, casting golden light across the fields, Sam and Luke stood together on the porch, looking out at the black truck still in the creek. It was more than a vehicle, it was a symbol of courage, patience, and the unshakable bond between grandfather and grandson. "That truck," Luke said softly, "it's kind of like a warning now, isn't it?" Sam nodded. "Exactly, Luke. A warning and a reminder. Respect is earned, not demanded. And anyone who forgets that, will remember it." The stars appeared over the quiet ranch that night, and Luke lay in bed thinking about the lessons he had learned. He was no longer just a boy helping on the farm. He was part of something bigger, a family legacy, a story of courage, cleverness, and love for the land. Outside, the creek sparkled in the moonlight, the black truck half submerged as a reminder of what could happen when someone ignored respect. And somewhere far away, Daniels and his men were surely planning, unaware that they had already lost. The Millers weren't just ready, they were unstoppable together. Luke smiled as he closed his eyes. Tomorrow might bring new challenges, but he felt confident, brave, and proud. He was learning from the best. And with Grandpa Sam by his side, he knew they could face anything the world threw at them. The morning sun rose slowly over Miller Ranch, painting the fields gold. Grandpa Sam and Luke were already outside, tending to the cattle and checking the fences. Even though the black truck remained half submerged in the creek, Sam knew today could bring the final confrontation. He had expected it, and Luke had learned to expect it too. "Grandpa," Luke asked as he carried a bucket of feed, "do you think they'll come back again?" Sam wiped sweat from his brow and looked toward the road. "They might, boy. People who don't understand respect never stop trying. But we'll be ready. Always ready." Hours passed quietly, and for a while, it seemed like the chaos might be over. The ranch felt peaceful, and Luke even began to hope that Daniels and his men had finally given up. But by late morning, the familiar roar of engines shattered the calm. This time, it was different. The trucks were more numerous, and their movement was coordinated, careful, as if Daniels had finally learned that force alone wasn't enough. 7 black trucks lined up at the ranch entrance, men carrying tools and ropes. Daniels stood at the front, holding a clipboard and a small megaphone, his face tied with anger. "Sam. This is the last warning. Daniels shouted. We have legal papers. Lawyers. You will move that truck today, or the consequences will be real. Sam leaned on the fence, calm as ever. Consequences? The only consequence you're learning is that this ranch is mine, and we don't tolerate disrespect. You want a lesson? You'll get it. But you'll also get it safely. Luke's stomach tightened. He had seen the trucks before, but this time, they seemed determined, organized, and serious. He glanced at his grandfather, who simply smiled faintly, his eyes calm and steady. Luke felt a strange mix of fear and confidence: fear of the trucks, confidence in Grandpa Sam. Sam had been preparing all morning. He had reinforced the mud near the creek, placed logs in strategic positions, and tied ropes in clever ways. Any attempt to move the black truck would require teamwork, patience, and careful thinking, qualities the Hoa men had clearly lacked before. Daniel's men approached the creek, confident they could drag the truck out. But as soon as the first truck tried to move forward, it got stuck immediately in the mud. Logs shifted, ropes tangled, and barrels rolled into the path. Shouts of frustration echoed across the ranch. Pull harder. Move it. Daniels shouted, but his men struggled, slipping and sliding in the mud. Sam walked toward the edge of the creek, observing quietly. No, Daniels, he said calmly. You're trying to force what cannot be forced. Respect the land, listen to it. Only then will you succeed. Luke watched, amazed at his grandfather's composure. Grandpa, how do you stay so calm? He whispered. Sam smiled faintly. Patience, boy. Courage isn't being loud or forceful. Courage is knowing when to act and when to wait. And today, we act wisely. Hours passed. The men tried everything: pulling, pushing, even using their tools to lift the truck, but the creek and Sam's clever obstacles held strong. Daniel's face grew redder with every failed attempt. Finally, Daniels threw up his hands in defeat. This is impossible. We can't do it. Sam nodded slowly. It's not impossible. You just forgot the most important lesson: respect. You can't bully people or land and expect success. Today you learned that. Luke ran to his grandfather, eyes wide with admiration. Grandpa, we did it. We really did it. Sam patted his shoulder, smiling. Yes, boy. But remember, victory isn't just winning. It's knowing you did the right thing, stayed patient, and kept your head when others lost theirs. That's what today taught us. As the black trucks retreated down the road, Sam and Luke returned to the porch, exhausted but proud. They checked the fences, repaired a broken gate, and ensured that the creek and the black truck remained secure. The ranch had survived, and so had their spirits. Grandpa, Luke said quietly, do you think they'll try again? Sam shook his head slowly. Maybe someday. But they'll think twice now. They know that the Millers don't back down, and this ranch isn't a place to test anyone. The sun dipped behind the hills, casting a golden glow over the fields. Luke realized that protecting the ranch wasn't just about defending property, it was about standing for respect, family, and everything that mattered to them. That night, Luke lay in bed thinking about the day's events. He understood now that courage and cleverness could defeat arrogance and force. He was no longer just a boy helping on the farm, he was part of something bigger, a legacy of strength, patience, and wisdom. Outside, the creek sparkled under the moonlight, the black truck half submerged, a symbol of a hard-earned lesson. Somewhere far away, Daniels and his men were surely planning, unaware that they had already lost. The Millers weren't just ready, they were unstoppable together. Luke closed his eyes, a quiet smile on his face. He felt proud, confident, and brave. Tomorrow might bring new challenges, but he knew he could face them, because he was learning from the best. Grandpa Sam had taught him more than how to work on the ranch, he had taught him how to live with courage, respect, and intelligence. And as the stars shone over the quiet land, Luke realized that the ranch was more than land, it was a story, a lesson, and a legacy worth defending, no matter what the world tried to throw at them. The morning sun rose slowly over Miller Ranch, casting a warm golden light across the fields. Grandpa Sam and Luke were already outside, feeding the cattle and checking the fences. After days of conflict, there was a sense of calm in the air, but both of them knew that the final confrontation could happen at any moment. "Grandpa," Luke said as he poured water into the trough, "do you think Daniels will ever give up?" Sam smiled faintly, his eyes on the distant road. "People like Daniels don't give up easily, boy. But they do learn lessons, especially when they see that persistence without respect accomplishes nothing. Today might be the day they finally understand." By late morning, the familiar sound of engines approached. This time, it was only 3 black trucks, moving slowly toward the ranch. They stopped at the entrance, and for the first time, Daniels didn't get out right away. Instead, he called through a megaphone. "Sam Miller. We've come to make peace," he shouted. "The Hoa agrees you've made your point. We will not challenge your property again. Move the truck from the creek, and this ends today." Luke's eyes widened. "Grandpa, really?" Sam nodded calmly. "Looks like they finally understand, Luke. Sometimes people need a few reminders to learn the right lesson. Today, they've learned it." Daniels and his men walked slowly toward the creek, this time carefully avoiding the obstacles Sam had set up. The black truck still sat half submerged, a reminder of the lessons already taught. Sam and Luke worked together to help Daniels' men pull the truck safely from the creek. They made sure it wouldn't get damaged further, showing that courage and cleverness did not come without fairness. "Thank you," Daniels said quietly, a hint of respect in his voice. We shouldn't have underestimated you, Sam. We were wrong." Sam nodded, his eyes steady. "It's not about being right or wrong, Daniels. It's about respect. Respect the land. Respect the people who work it. That's all I ask." Luke watched, feeling proud of his grandfather. He realized that true courage was not just standing firm but also knowing when to forgive. Daniels and his men climbed into their trucks, leaving the ranch without further incident. This time, it truly felt like the end. Grandpa Sam and Luke walked back to the porch, exhausted but smiling. "Grandpa," Luke said, looking out at the wide fields, "I think I understand now. This ranch isn't just land. It's respect, family, and lessons we have to protect." Sam smiled, patting his grandson on the shoulder. "Exactly, boy. It's a legacy. And legacies are worth defending. You learned that these past days, and I'm proud of you." The rest of the afternoon passed in peace. They checked fences, fed the cattle, and repaired small damages from the past week. The black truck was now safely out of the creek, and all the obstacles Sam had set were removed. But the story of what had happened would remain in their minds forever. Luke sat on the porch, feeling the gentle wind on his face. "Grandpa, do you think we'll ever forget all this?" Sam chuckled softly. "No, Luke. Some lessons stick forever. Today you learned courage, patience, and cleverness. You learned that respect cannot be demanded, it must be earned. And that lesson will stay with you. As the sun set behind the hills, painting the sky with shades of orange and pink, Luke realized how much he had grown over the past week. He was no longer just a helper on the ranch. He was part of a story of courage, intelligence, and family. He had seen his grandfather face challenges that would have intimidated most people, and he had learned from every moment. The creek rippled gently in the evening light, reflecting the peaceful sky. The black truck, once a symbol of conflict, now felt like a trophy of lessons learned, a reminder of patience, planning, and respect. "Grandpa," Luke said quietly, "I think the ranch feels different now. Stronger. Safer." Sam nodded, looking over the fields. "It does, boy. And you helped make it that way. Today, the land, the legacy, and our family are safe. That's what matters." That night, as the stars shone over the quiet ranch, Luke lay in bed with a smile. He had learned that defending what you love takes courage, patience, and clever thinking. He had learned that respect is stronger than force. And most importantly, he had learned that family and legacy are worth every effort. Outside, the wind whispered through the trees, the creek sparkled in the moonlight, and the ranch returned to its peaceful rhythm. The black truck was gone, the obstacles removed, and the lessons learned. Grandpa Sam and Luke had won not just a battle but a victory of patience, courage, and wisdom. Luke closed his eyes, feeling proud and safe. He knew that no matter what challenges came in the future, he had learned from the best. And with Grandpa Sam by his side, there was nothing they couldn't face together. The ranch slept under the stars, a quiet, strong, and enduring place protected by courage, guided by wisdom, and held together by family. The story of the black truck, the stubborn Hoa, and the clever defense would live on, not just as a tale of conflict, but as a reminder of what truly matters in life: respect, patience, and standing firm for what you love.